I've been thinking about what exactly I wanted to talk about without focusing too much on all the things in the past that have gone wrong or that weren't ideal.
Yeah, don't need to talk about how the desire happened. Let's just talk about the desire. Could you say that a question is a desire? A desire for an answer? Could you say a problem produces a desire for a solution? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My desire is to know how to feel safer within my own self.
Big, isn't it? Can't do it all at once. It's baby steps. This is satisfying, We're going to let you talk more, but we just want to get this started in a really productive way. For a little while, let's just say that there's the feeling of satisfaction, and then there's dissatisfaction. And that dissatisfaction could feel like vulnerability. Dissatisfaction could feel like not being safe. Dissatisfaction could feel like fear. But let's just say there's satisfaction and other. Because if you are awake, you're going to be offering a vibration which is going to be having some vibrational relevance with the emotion and the focus of your inner being. In other words, you just can't turn that off. You cannot turn that relationship sensor off. So if you're feeling less than satisfied, it just means you're focused screwy. We don't mean that you don't have justification for focusing there, because maybe something happened and you keep remembering it and bringing it forward and bringing it forward and bringing it forward. So you hold yourself in that chronic place. But it really is a choice that you have to start making now. So we're just going to offer a really strong statement, and we can tell you're paying attention, and we know for sure that you'll get this. You just have to find something to feel satisfied about, not conquering that fear. You don't have to conquer that fear, because every time you try to conquer that fear, the fear says, oh yeah? But if you're just looking for something to feel satisfied, and satisfied, and satisfied, and there are so many things, then you begin tuning yourself into a frequency that fearful, insecure vibration just becomes less and less practiced until it's a non-player in your experience. Mm. So conceptually, we know you got that. Did you move vibrationally? No, of course not. Not with one comment like that. It takes some practice of satisfaction.
I guess it's hard to...
No, it isn't. It does take focus, though. It's not just hard to work against law of attraction. It's impossible. It's really hard to offer a vibration and not feel the result of the vibration I'm offering. Yeah, that's true. It's hard to offer a vibration that is opposite of what my inner being feels and not feel negative emotion. Yeah, it's not just hard, it's impossible. You've got to redirect your focus, and you can't do it all at once. Start with things that are easier. If you practice feeling satisfaction about things that are easy for you to feel satisfaction about, then satisfaction becomes just the way you lean. And after a little while, even those things that you felt strong dissatisfaction about will just sort of dissipate. They will become a non-player in your vibrational balance. Just for fun, picture a whiteboard, a light board, about the size of your bed. And let's draw a line right down the middle of it, and let's call that the satisfaction line. So here's all these little LED lights over here on the good feeling side of satisfaction, and here's all these LED lights on the other side, and let's call that dissatisfaction. So over here in dissatisfaction are subjects that you're afraid of, subjects that you remember that you felt victimized, subjects where you felt disadvantaged, subjects where you felt misunderstood. And over here are subjects where you felt praised and where you praised, where you felt clear and were clear, things where you felt invincible, things where you felt disadvantaged. So you got a picture of this light board. So now you're moving through your day, and you are where you are, and that's okay. And let's say you weren't really tuned up by this conversation, and so you're just having a normal knee-jerk response to life day. And you turn on the television, and half the lights on the board light up. In other words, there's so much to feel dissatisfied about if you focus there. So let's say you practice some of those thoughts, and then you go to lunch with somebody and you practice some more. That board is just so active and so ready to light up. In other words, it's just practiced, and the more you practiced, it's like a really bright half of the bed. But let's say that on this new morning that you wake up and you've decided that you're going to look for things to feel satisfied about, and right as soon as you get out of bed, you find something that you feel satisfied about, and you focus on it, and it's not anything monumental, it's not anything to write home about, but it lights up. And now you've got your day off on a different foot. And now, because of the cooperative component nature of that lighted light, other satisfying thoughts like that one begin to sort of flicker a little bit. And if you're in the receiving mode, you begin receiving impulses about those. You see how it works? So, got to catch it early, because once it gets going, it's hard. You're right. But if you start the day off that way, it gets easier and easier until you'll find yourself with this good feeling side of the bed light board imagined thing just bright all the time, and it's a rare time that something displeasing comes back in. Something could have happened 20 years ago, and if you haven't activated it, it's dissipated so much it's not a player in your vibration at all. But most people don't do it that way. Most people remember it. They talked about it 20 years ago and 19 years ago and 18 years ago, and it's a big player in your repertoire of what you offer around the entertainment in the nail salon.
I was recently kind of abandoned by my mom, and
Good.
yes, it is good.
Really,
It is good.
mothers are overrated because they think they're smarter than you, and they think that they get to live your life for you, and they think that they should get to make all the decisions for you. And so mothers are a lot to overcome.
Yes. And
How you doing out there, Mom? Well, if you're a mother, you don't agree with us, but if you remember your mother, you know exactly what we're talking about.
yes. Without getting too into it.
You're going to, though, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, because it comes to a bigger question.
Yeah, but you see what you're doing? You're doing what almost everybody does. You're in this place where you feel this dissatisfaction, and we get it. And you want to explain why you feel it, because you really don't want it. So it feels like you should explain it to justify it. But explaining it only holds you there longer, and you're really not wanting to keep that vibration active. You don't want to keep bringing it forward into your now, into your now, into your now. It's more irrelevant than you are right now understanding. Anytime you're not standing in a place where you know at deep levels you want to be, there is a desire within you to explain why you're there. We call it justifying or rationalization, and mostly it's trying to bring other people down to speed with where you are. You used to say up to speed. I need to bring you up to speed with where I am. Not really what's happening. You're bringing me down to speed with where you are because you want me to relate to you.
I would like to know how to feel more
Baby steps, one at a time.
purpose, just life purpose.
Well, you see, first you got to find relief. Then you find satisfaction. And then life purpose starts showing up.
So just allow it.
Yep. And you're not off track. You're on track. The contrast has put all kinds of purpose in your vortex. You just got to get in the vicinity of it a little bit more and let it start lighting up a little more. We'll give you an example. So a few months ago, Esther was in Del Mar, and she had been meditating. We'd really been talking about the value of getting into the receiving mode every day. And she has done a lot of meditating through the years, but she wasn't meditating every single day. So she decided that she was going to take that 15 or 20 minutes and quiet her mind and focus on some sound and allow her vibration to rise. So she'd been doing that for 2 or 3 weeks, steadily every day. So what she began to notice is she could feel her detachment and she could feel her vibration rising. And then quite often, just as she was coming out of meditation, right before the timer would go off, something would occur to her. Some really good idea would occur to her. Not anything important, just a good idea. So one morning, the good idea was, learn the sound system in this house that's been there for 10 years that you don't understand. She thought, ooh, that sounds fun. So she got the contraptions that went with the system, and it's a combination between what's happening on the television screen and what's happening with her remote. And she just started fiddling with it, and it started making sense to her because she was in the receiving mode. And somebody, Jerry, knew how it worked. So she was in the receiving mode, pushing buttons, and suddenly everything was making sense to her. So she discovered all this variety of music, and then she discovered that she could send it to all the zones in the land. To the porch, to that room, upstairs, downstairs, over there, out there, patio, everywhere. She could adjust the volume. She had complete control of her musical destiny. And she was having such a good time. And then she started going through the music genres, and she listened to that, and she listened to that, and she listened to that, and then she found rap. Rap. Ooh, who knew? And then she listened a little longer, and she liked it. So she listened more, she left it on quite a while. Then she was done. She went on with her day doing other things. The very next day, she sat to meditate again. And as she came out of meditation, another really good feeling idea came to her. I think I will move all the furniture in the house around. Which was illogical when you think about it, because every piece of furniture had been specifically purchased to sit in that perfect place. But suddenly, it all looked like it should be somewhere else. Really strong, ravenous feeling of wanting to move the furniture around. That rug would be better in that room, and that rug would be better over there, and that would be better over there. Everything looked like it needed to be someplace else. So she went directly to her computer, looked up movers, found 2 men in a truck, called them. They were available. They came right over. So she said, basically, I want to move everything somewhere else. And they looked at her like, okay, but she seemed to be so happy that they didn't question her. And so strong boys, men, they just started moving this and moving that. They were having a really good time. And then they were taking a little break, and they were talking, and Esther was talking about the glorious day that they were having. And one of them said, it's so pretty here, but I'm leaving. And Esther said, why? Where are you going? Alabama. Why? I'm a rapper, he says. So Esther says, really? Hang on a minute. So she goes into her room, pushes her buttons, and suddenly rap is playing for all the land to hear. Really loud, really wonderful, really good stuff playing through her sound system. So she goes back out, and they are looking at her like, who are you? And so they said, who are you? What do you do? And Esther said, oh, I'm a teacher. What do you teach? Esther says, rap. And then they had this delicious conversation about how what you want can come to you where you are. And Esther had books and CDs and DVDs, and they just formed an instant friendship. And he was so hungry to hear what she knew. Very interesting, isn't it? That the day before, the impulse to discover the system, who knew? Well, the vortex knew. Your inner being knows. In other words, the cooperative components for this young man were being gathered for him. So much so that Esther was inspired to do 2 things that were completely illogical for her to do. Before the day was over, they basically moved everything back to where it was. Because that was never what it was about. It's about the journey of discovering each other, you see. And so when you want to find your life's purpose, it's ongoing. And today it might be learning your system, which is going to lead to that, which is going to lead to that. Learning your life's purpose, or discovering your life's purpose, or getting on the path of your life's purpose is not about the destination to which the path has led. It's about the path. It's about the fun of the path. Helpful?
Yes.
Enough?
Yes.
Really good.